Hello, everybody, and welcome back once more to Anime Yay or Nay. I am the Outback Owl.
I'm Hot for Justice.
I'm Yin&Jung.
I'm Sheepy Noob.
And I'm NV Jitters.
And we're back once more with, this week is my top 4, Code Geass. I think this is the last number 4, right?
I think.
Yeah. So, what is Code Geass about? What isn't it about? What's it? I didn't watch this week. I'm kidding. I did watch this week. So Code Geass is about an alternate history kind of thing where this country called Britannia, which is conveniently America, invades a whole bunch of countries, including Japan, which they've taken over because they built Gundams and no one else has. And there's a kid in the newly dubbed Area 11, which is formerly Japan, who kind of go into a private academy. Things are going well for him. He's occasionally playing chess on the side with, like, noblemen to cheat them out of money. Not cheat them out of money. He's just really good at chess. Anywho, his name is Lelouch. He's our main character, and he sees a truck crash one day while he's out and about that is the result of a group of underground resistance fighters of the former Japanese nation who are trying to take back the country, and they stole a Gundam. Well, they call him a nightmare frame, but it's a Gundam. And possibly some chemical weapons. He doesn't know this, but he goes and tries to help them out. He's like, hey, are you guys okay? He falls into the back of the truck when they peel out and realizes that the situation that he's in is not good. But then the truck crashes a second time after they launch the Gundam to fight other Gundams, which is kind of cool. I like the Gundams in this. I like the Nightmare frames. I think they're interesting. And he's attacked. Well, he's not attacked. Everyone's attacked, basically, by the Britannian army because apparently whatever they stole was top secret military stuff that they don't want anyone to find out. They even shoot one of their own, a guy named Suzaku, who is actually a Japanese person who's now working for the Britannians. And yeah, so Lelouch is in a bad way. The container opens up. It's not poison gas. It's a girl in a straitjacket. And she speaks to him in his brain and is like, hey, I can give you magic powers. Then she gets shot in the head. And then she's like, hey, you still want those magic powers? And he's like, how are you still alive? And she's like, I'm not going to tell you that, but I can give you magic powers. And so she gives him the power to control people or, like, basically order someone around. He has to look in their eyes, and whatever he tells them to do, they got to do. So he tells all the soldiers who are about to kill him, hey, kill yourselves. And they do it. Then he steals a robot, and then he has a radio for the resistance fighters, and he helps the resistance fighters figure out how to outmaneuver the 1, better armed, 2, better supplied, 3, just superior numbered Britannian forces, because he's a master chess player. And Sam Riegel is trying to run this whole thing as the prince person in charge of the whole shebang, and he's an idiot. He can't do nothing. So Lelouch, we'll just call him Johnny Young Bosch, he's outmaneuvering them left and right until somehow, despite being shot probably in the liver, Suzaku miraculously makes a recovery and gets his own Super Gundam, and it's called a Lancelot. It's a 7th generation Nightmare frame, and he joins the fight and starts kicking everybody's ass because he has, main character strength. And then, yeah, a whole bunch of crap happens. Lelouch tries to get away from him. The only reason he gets away from Suzaku is because Suzaku stops to save a person falling out of a building. This whole area that they're in is getting fucking demolished. And eventually, Lelouch makes it to the main stronghold of the Britannian forces, finds Clovis, Sam Riegel, the prince in charge of everything, reveals that he is actually his brother, Lelouch, who everyone thought was dead but isn't, and then interrogates him about his dead mother, who was assassinated. After he finds out he doesn't know anything, he shoots him dead, and then he goes about the rest of his day. Because that's what you do. Anyway, next day at school, it's a slice of life comedy now. And he's on the student council with the pervy class president and the redhead swim team captain who clearly is in love with him, and Rivel, because no one likes Rivel, and Nina, because no one likes Nina, and his blind sister in a wheelchair, and who is just supposed to be there for cuteness sake, for now. Anywho, he meets up with someone at his school who is actually one of the terrorists. And she's apparently half Britannian or something. He uses his little power on her, and he's starting to realize, hey, these powers have limitations. I can control someone, but only if it's through direct eye contact, and I can only give him one order, and then it doesn't work on them anymore. So he's learning all that sort of stuff, and he is slowly starting to gather his forces because he wants to take down Britannia, but he has an obstacle in the way now because Suzaku has been... His buddy Suzaku, who he apparently has known for a while, has been captured and is taking the fall for the prince's murder. And that's where we leave off. That was probably like one of the shortest synopses I've done. I'm impressed with myself. I think I got everything for the most part, right?
Yeah, I mean, I watched a little bit of last week's video when you did number 6, and you pretty much said, with your 10 words or less description, Death Note with Gundams but a better ending. Is that what you said?
That is absolutely that.
I definitely got light Yagami vibes from Lelouch, which kind of makes which is weird because both this and Death Note probably came out around the same time, or at least in the same year.
They did. They did. Which is actually they share a lot of things, especially in like some characters and theming and that. Like, I mean, well, before I go in, what did you guys think?
To be honest, I thought it was a bit confusing.
I could see that a little bit.
Like I didn't really know what was going on, like, much with, like, the war. And maybe it's just because I'm not, like, big on, like, war plots in, like, shows. Do you mean
the overall war, like, with the people occupying the country, or do you mean like just the battle that was going on?
Kind of like the battle that was going on.
Okay.
It was just like, I don't know, like they just kind of throw you in, and they do explain it, but it's kind of like a fast explanation, like a quick, like, here's what's going on now, like, watch it. And I was just kind of like, I think I need to rewatch this again if I'm gonna understand it. So I'm probably gonna go back and, like, rewatch, especially after your description, because I think it helped.
Okay.
So
I'm glad to have helped. I'm gonna be real. Because I'm trying to remember the overall show. I know they always have a big thing about, like, battle taxes and stuff, but, like, I'm really trying to think of, like, how much they really go into detail of what's going on in the battles when they're using these things, or if it's more of a montage, kind of like we saw here, where it was more of like, we just see Lelouch making moves, and we don't see the counter kind of stuff. It's just like, oh, it works. It's kind of just showcasing him.
I was seeing a lot of the chess motif with this, very much. So, which is fine, because it's, like, thematic and stuff like that, but yeah, it is more or less like, I mean, I don't need a play-by-play strategy of what all you're doing, but it would definitely, like, help to, I don't know, sort of, like, kind of get a little bit more of an explanation, I guess? Because even I was just a little bit like, okay, this is happening, and now we're moving on.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I didn't really have a problem following it. I liked it for the most part. I was honestly surprised how brutal it was, at least these first 3 episodes, because, like, I never watched the show, and, like, obviously Britannia is basically the Third Reich, and, you know, they're enslaving people and all that stuff, and when they go cleanse out the I forget what ward it was, but, like, when they go cleansing,
Shinjuku?
And they're basically like, kill everybody, and you don't obviously see it, but, like, you hear people screaming when they're being shot, and they shoot kids. You hear kids screaming when they're shot, and it's like, jeez, this show had balls.
Mm-hmm. Yep, because there's some pretty dark places.
Yeah, I remember watching this show way back when it originally came out, I think. I don't remember as much anymore because it's been a few years, but rewatching it again, I found that I liked it probably just as much as I did before. I think it's an interesting setup. I think the main character is interesting in similar ways that Light is. And yeah, he's always reminded me of Light too. I think everybody makes those comparisons. And his strategy kind of thing reminds me of that too. But I think it is explained a little bit more in Death Note. But I think this one does focus more on the action. So I was kind of like, okay, I accept that. I don't know exactly what's going on. But I don't know. It kind of worked in a way. So I was okay with being a little bit confused. I thought some of the school stuff kind of dragged a bit, but I think that's just how it is sometimes in animes in the beginning when they're setting up all those characters at school and stuff. But I definitely found the Gundam stuff really interesting. I found the world in general very interesting. And the conflict that I'm sure will be coming up, morally between, like, him and Suzaku and how they have different ways of handling the same predicament. Like, they're both obviously against, what Britannia is doing, but they're handling it in such different ways that I think it's interesting to see how, Suzaku wants to work from the inside to change things, but the other guy wants to do things in the here and now in a more, straightforward way. And I think that sets up a really interesting conflict. So I think it's definitely worth watching more.
Yeah, it's a lot like, I was saying, like, this is kind of like Death Note. It's a lot like the sort of relationship Light and L had, at least in regard to, like, their idea. They both kind of, again, it's a situation of that it's two guys who want the same thing, justice, but how they define it and how they want to go about achieving it is different, and it's like that battle of two philosophies a little bit. You don't see that as much in these episodes. I'm hoping I'm not spoiling it for you guys, but yeah, I think
it's kind of clear that's where they're setting.
I would figure that they would, at least go into more of their relationship with each other and their different philosophies, and maybe do they show more of how they grew up together? Because like they pretty much showed like brief flashbacks on their childhood. Do they? You
get a lot more backstory for Suzaku, Lelouch, a couple other people, and how everything is unfolded to where it is now.
And I was doing a little bit of background research after watching it about his like little sister, that was in the wheelchair, and like apparently whenever her mother got shot right in front of her, she literally was so traumatized she got blind and couldn't walk anymore. Which, I mean, I'm not saying that's
may have been shot in the legs, which might be part of the reason for the paralysis.
Okay, yeah. but then apparently she was so shocked seeing that happen right in front of her that she literally went blind from shock. And it's like, I've never heard that before. I'm not saying that's not a real thing, but that's interesting.
I think it can happen, actually. Like, even in just, like, a conversion disorder way or something. Like, I don't know. It's just, like, I'm sure psychologically it can happen even if she's not medically blind. But I'm not sure if she's medically blind in the show, so if she is, then maybe it had something to do with a flash or something else that happened.
They don't really say.
No.
It might be psychosomatic.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, which I think could happen. Like, people have, not been able to move in certain ways or not been able to have the same bodily functions because of trauma and stuff.
Everybody got a lot of trauma in this show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's kind of weird going, like, I guess I didn't realize, because I haven't watched this in a few years. I think I've watched this show twice at this point, and I've seen Code Meant 40 times. So I kind of forgot how kind of jarring it is. Episode 1 and 2, where it's like, oh, people are getting, massacred. Giant robots are fighting all over the place. You got political intrigue and a whole bunch of other stuff going on. And then suddenly, hey, we're at school. We got to talk about budget meetings and stuff. And I don't know. It was weird. It is kind of weird having that sort of like juxtaposition.
I mean, it's almost like in a kind of a weird sort of way. I think those scenes are kind of like, this is going to be a weird comparison, but it's almost like Lelouch is putting on his billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne facade.
Absolutely.
when he's in school. Like, obviously he still cares about his sister, but like the Lelouch that was leading the battle, that was, being smart and light like, that's his true persona, whereas him in the school, that's just like, oh, I don't want to act too suspicious, so I'll just be a normal Britannian, or so you think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of see him figuring out his new power, even in the regular scenes, like when he did the thing with the teacher, just to check, so I can only use this once on a singular person. So I think you can still see the wheels turning in his head, even in the regular moments.
Yeah, he's a chess player. He's always thinking like 4 or 5 moves ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, same with the phone thing was pretty impressive in the bathroom when he did the fake
I did
message.
like that trick a lot.
Who has a phone in a bathroom?
That was weird though. Like, why?
Was
either way, it worked.
That was more of a thing that they did like a long time ago for old bathrooms, because it's like one thing to have like, walk down the hallway in your towel to get all the way to the phone because you don't have an answering machine. So phones in bathrooms were actually a bit of a thing for a time.
You'll have to speak up. I'm wearing a towel. I just think it's weird that like that must have been like had to have been like a really traditional architect, because they said in like 2010 that Japan got invaded and then they built all this stuff. So, I mean, cell phones were a thing. I don't know. Cell phones were a thing, but not smartphones, because those were coming out.
Flip phone.
Smartphones were coming out like right as this was being made, I think, and I think that's why we don't see them here. Interesting.
Yeah, it's why we get the weird earphone Bluetooth piece things.
Were there smartphones in Death Note? Now I'm actually like, I need to like go back and look.
I don't think so.
It was probably like these are probably like some of the last ones who don't have it.
It was flip phones.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only real phone that I honestly really remember seeing was Misa's phone, and it was a flip phone.
Yeah.
Elle had a flip phone too. I think.
Well, I could see L having a bunch of burners. I feel like that makes a lot of sense for him.
Well, flip phones are pretty standard for the time back then.
No, true, but even if there were smartphones, I could still see L using a flip phone that he could just throw away if he had to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I could see Light doing that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what'd you guys think of the robots?
Wait, I didn't get to give my opinion.
Sorry, go ahead.
I guess, like, my opinion's gonna be a bit of, like, a downer. I was underwhelmed.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't know if it's just the fact that I'm not really in the mood to watch something like this right now, but, like, I'm just watching everything going on, and, like, yes, it's all very horrible and very, like, bad, and, like, honestly, it's very tragic. But I'm very disconnected from everything right now, which I shouldn't feel if I'm watching something, and I feel like I should care.
Okay.
So, like, the whole, like, first episode, I was just kind of, like, watching everything unfold, and I'm just like, well, shit just hit the fan very quickly. Like, maybe it was just because there was no build-up, like, no really getting to know the characters very well at this point. And then, we get to episode 2, and honestly, when they revealed that Lelouch was the long-lost prince, who they all thought had been killed, I wasn't surprised, because if you watch the ending cutscene, well, not the ending cutscene, but the ending, the ending sequence, you can clearly see, the second image that they show on the screen is Lelouch basically, like, tearing away, like, his, his regal attire, as he's leaving the throne room, and his father is clearly on the throne, like, in the background above him. So, for me, not a surprise at all.
No, I don't think it was a surprise for anyone. I think he even says it at the end of the episode.
No, he does, but they show it at the end of episode 1.
No, the end of episode 1. He says, I'm Lelouch v. Britannia. I'm like, the only people with the last name Britannia are probably the people of the royal family.
To me, that didn't click.
Okay.
Because I don't know what that means.
We had the same last name as the Prince dude.
I wasn't paying attention to that either.
You weren't paying attention to Sam Riegel, that's on you.
I was reading the subs, so...
Oh. You missed out on flamboyant Sam Riegel and even more flamboyant Liam O'Brien.
I don't think I probably missed a whole lot. I don't know. I was honestly a little bit more... I wanted to actually read what was going on, because if I'm just listening to it, it's not going to stick. So that's why I usually prefer subs as well, because I'm like, if I have information to actually process, to put in my brain that I am reading, it helps me learn a little bit better.
Okay.
So that's why I stuck with sub. And then, I thought the power thing was interesting. I enjoyed learning a bit more about that. And I guess I'm, like, the sort of resistance thing was, like, okay. I don't know, I guess... I feel like it's all very surface level right now, so I'm not really getting invested in what's going on like I feel like I should. I don't know.
I get that. I think they were definitely trying to, like, show off a whole lot in the first episode, which doesn't allow it for a lot of depth, because, like, you know, I simplify it by saying Death Note with Gundams, but when you think about what that all entails, it does get kind of complicated. You have to establish giant robots. You have to establish how you have these giant robots. You have to establish the Death Note element of, like, okay, smart people playing chess with each other's minds. You have superpowers you have to establish.
Honestly, that was fine. That was all fine. I didn't mind that at all. I was like, okay, I'm enjoying the robots. I don't know. I guess it's just, like, I want to, like, vibe with the characters.
I got that.
I don't know. Sorry.
No, you're cool. You know what's weird? And so this was an original anime. This wasn't, like, based on a manga or anything. They did do a manga adaptation that I think I read a little bit of. And there weren't giant robots.
Really?
That was really weird. I didn't understand why that was.
What did they do instead?
Honestly, nothing. I think it's why it didn't last for very long.
So they just had regular humans versus humans.
Yeah, and barely that.
So there was no fight?
No, and if anyone knows what this actual manga was, like, you can tell me whether this was a fake thing or something else, but I remember reading it, and it was like the first, air quotes, terrorist act was, like, the redhead, Colin, graffitiing the school.
What?
And they got chased around by campus security and the police, and then Lelouch radios them and is like, hey, you go this way, do that. And it's the same thing, except no giant robots, no actual, like, life and death stakes.
It was about
and, like,
graffiti?
If I'm remembering it correctly, yes.
It was about the school?
Yeah, and yet at the same time, you still have Lelouch being like, I can take down Britannia.
Maybe it was a parody.
What is this?
That's silly.
Okay, if it was a parody, I don't think they would have used their real names. And I don't think, like, it's the art style, it's the names, it's like, it didn't seem like it was a joke.
Where did you read it?
I don't know. It was, like, right after I'd watched the show, I'm like, is there any other things, any manga or anything? Because I was, like, really interested. I was having the void after the ending. And, yeah, I just found that, and I was like, this is not as good as the show.
Maybe it was a really well-made fan comic.
They have a lot of different manga that is, like, listed on this thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm sure I read one of them.
There's a lot of different, like, offshoots. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page right now.
I think a number of them are probably, like, world-building element stuff. Like, there ends up being a lot of characters in this show. And most of them get some degree of a backstory, though I know there are some who don't get as much. I think they might get, like, extra material elsewhere. It's kind of like the Star Wars and stuff like that, where, like, it's a lot of the extended universe stuff that you know people from.
Yeah.
But yeah. So.
Yeah, there are, like, a lot, from what I'm looking at, there are a lot that just, like, have, like, there's like a character specific thing for each of the manga volume like series titles.
It just seems so weird to me that there was not giant robots for this mecha anime, for one of the last really good mecha animes.
That is very strange. Also, what I found to be very interesting, I did not know that the original character designs were from Clamp.
Oh yeah, they say it in the intro.
Yeah.
No, I saw that in the intro. I'm like, they were the ones who made the characters?
I mean, when you think about it, though, it looks just like that.
You can kind of see it a little bit.
It does. It really does when I actually think about it. It's just the fact that I didn't really take those character designs and compare them to their previous works, so I guess that was what threw me.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the extra art for the show, too, has that same kind of style that you see in all of their additional art. It's very cool.
Speaking of the theme song, because that's what we saw about Clamp, what'd you guys think of the theme song?
I mean, the actual visuals themselves are okay, but that song, though, Colors by Flo, holy crap, that,
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Flo does their first and fifth theme song, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Colors by Flo has always been my, like, favorite anime theme, even though I never really watched Code Geass. I saw it, like, on Adult Swim a couple of times back when I would watch, like, Death Note on Adult Swim when I was younger. But yeah, I just remember listening to the song and I was like, this is my favorite song ever. Because it's so good.
It's so catchy.
But
Yeah, it is
It's
good.
not bad.
You know what's interesting, like, I thought the ending theme was the opening to some other show. Because I've heard it before.
Yeah. Like, the thing is, like, when I heard the songs, I'm like, oh, I know these songs. I've heard them before. I didn't realize that this was what they were from. So.
Yeah. So what did you guys think about the giant robots?
I mean, they were cool. I mean, they're... It's not like I haven't... I mean, we've seen giant robots before, but they were cool. I imagine there'll be cool powers and stuff later on.
Yes, but how many times have you seen giant robots on roller skates? No, that's not the best part of, like, so they...
I mean, didn't Tiger and Bunny have skates in their suits?
Did they? I thought they had a motorcycle. They had a grappling hook.
I could have sworn they could have floated, like, jet boosted with their suits.
I think they had, like, grappling hooks that came out of their arms. Yeah. But yeah, like, you get a lot more, like, custom robots later. Like, everyone's favorite robot from Mobile Suit Gundam is not the mobile suits, it's the Gundams. And we only get one Gundam out of this one. It's actually, like, really, like, this one, and actually Gurren Lagann that were coming out at the same time, I actually really like how both of those shows kind of portray, like, escalation of battles and stuff like that, because, like, this is, like, probably the lowest stakes battle that's going to be in the series. It just keeps growing and growing from here. And, like, the technology gets more and more advanced, the weapons get deadlier and deadlier, the tactics get bigger and more far-reaching, and, like, it just escalates kind of in the same, not to the same degree that Gurren Lagann does. I don't think anything has ever escalated as big as Gurren Lagann did. But it's got that similar, like, every battle is, like, power scaling up again and again and again. So I think that's something that, like, the show did really well. I know it's not shown here as much because this is the first outing, but yeah.
Well, that's good.
I don't know what to talk about.
They're planning Lelouch is literally planning a rebellion to overthrow at least the Japan part of Britannia, so I would imagine the stakes get pretty high.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what to talk about because I don't want to start spoiling things, and I don't want to, like, I don't know. What would you guys like to talk about or, like, have questions in regard to this?
Does the green-haired girl, I think her name is Cece, does she come back? Because she seemed kind of dead.
Yes, she comes back.
She comes back. She gets shot in the head multiple times. She is not dead. Also, her name is C2, but they spell it CC, and no one can explain why.
So weird.
Yeah, it's weird. We don't get it.
You would think it was Cece.
You know what? It might have been weird if they called her CC because she's so into pizza. Yeah.
Jeez.
They call her Pizza Girl.
Hut.
Yeah, Pizza Hut's a big thing.
No,
Pizza Hut's a thing in the show. Pizza Hut is the one holdover from our universe.
Yes. Pizza Hut had a sponsorship and became very popular in Japan because of this show.
Dude, they do show the pizza pretty nicely. I don't know, like, what had, like, there was, like, a thing, I think, that came out at that time that was, like, it was the crust made of, like, cheese bites.
Yeah.
Or, like, they're, like, mini mozzarella sticks, almost, and they showed it in the show, and I'm like, I could go for that. I'm not super into Pizza Hut, but I could go for that.
Yeah, I'm also not really into Pizza Hut, but good product placement.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all the questions I have. I'm pretty sure one day I'll finish it, because like, it's been on my watch list for ages now, so...
I hope you do. I really enjoy this one. I don't want to spoil anything for it.
How long is it?
Good.
25 episodes, I think.
No,
It's like two
it's 2
seasons,
seasons.
right?
It's 52. 50 or 52,
Yeah.
something around that.
Okay. So I guess the first season's 25 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they have both seasons on Netflix, so.
Yeah, they do.
They have it on Netflix and Funimation. So,
like, the perfect ending that you were talking about, that's the ending of season 2?
Ending of season 2, yes.
Okay.
I don't think this is too much of a spoiler, but season 1 ends on a cliffhanger.
Kind of figures.
I mean, makes sense.
So it's the movie that we're not sure of if that's good.
Never seen it.
From what I heard...
I haven't seen any other things after the end of season 2, because I'm just like, you know what? You went out on the best possible note this show could have gone out on. I don't want to know anything else.
From what I heard, there was a remake that had like a few seasons, and then the movie is a follow-up to the remake timeline, so it doesn't connect to the original.
Yeah, something like that. I
Did
don't
not know about
I didn't
that.
want to know about it, so I didn't watch it.
Weird.
I know this is like,
Why
I
did they
probably
remake
should.
it?
I don't know. I don't
Money?
know. Money,
Oh,
probably.
money.
Maybe they had other ideas. Maybe it's an alternate universe where things went differently or something. I don't know. I don't care. This is a good show.
I'm
with a
sorry
great,
I brought it up.
Like, thing. Maybe I'll watch it someday if I'm up for... I don't want to say laughs, because maybe it's good. I don't know. But... yeah, I don't know. I'm a fan of when something ends really well, leave it where it is.
You know companies can't leave well enough alone.
No, but they should.
No, I mean, at least it can never, at least whatever happens, it'll never take away from the legacy of, the original show.
You hope. I don't know. As long as it doesn't get a Netflix adaptation at any point, I think we're fine.
Oh god.
That would be bad.
It'd be really bad.
Netflix.
Imagine
It
Netflix
ruins
Death Note with
everything.
Gundams.
Like,
God.
like Netflix, when they acquire shows that are animated, they
Yeah.
they turn out pretty good. I mean, they got Beastars, they got a whole bunch of other shows, but when they make their own versions of stuff, that's when it usually turns out bad.
Yeah, they should not do that.
Yeah. They need to stop acquiring properties to do movies and shows for that aren't literally just originals.
Yeah, I mean, like, we all saw the Death Note movie, we saw how bad that was. I heard the Full Metal Alchemist live-action movie was horrible, so, like, and
I
then...
watched half of that.
It was not very good.
I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't Death Note.
It wasn't that level.
Like,
it was at least fairly accurate to the original,
I think
but it was just kind of poorly done.
It was boring. It was just mediocre. It was like...
It was kind of like the Japanese Death Notes.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this is accurate. This is...
It's just not very good.
It looks about right. It's just kind of like, this was clearly done better in the show.
It's like, I might as well just watch the anime, because that's way better.
Yeah, it's like, why am I here for this version?
That's just kind of a thing with a lot of, like, live-action movies that are based on animes. Like, a lot of times they are done not up to par with where they should be with the source material.
I don't know. I think it's just a thing of, like, everyone wants to just do it again, but it's like, what are you adding by switching it to this medium?
The Black Butler one was really weird, though. That was, like, in the future or something.
That one.
Future, gender
I've seen
swapped,
only a
Lady
little
Red
bit
didn't
of that.
wear red.
That was so weird.
It was
super
bad.
weird.
Like, I will say the
I'm
Black
not even a big
Butler...
Black Butler fan.
Like, the Black Butler stage plays were at least better. By far.
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of the stage plays. I saw the whole live-action movie, and it was very off. It was not like the original at all.
What were they doing again? Was it something about a virus?
Dude, I don't even remember what it was about. I just remember the setting was weird, and the characters were off. I don't know. It was all strange.
I was gonna say, didn't they use the same actor for Sebastian, like, from the stage plays, and then
I mean,
CL
Sebastian was fine. It's just
something?
literally everything else around them is... Why did you make that decision?
I mean, Ciel was a girl.
Yeah, there was that.
And an adult.
Wait, she was an adult?
More or less.
Yes.
I thought she was
wasn't
like
10.
a teenager.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, he's like 14 in the original.
It's really unclear of, like, where they are.
It's just such a strange setting. It just feels like it's not correct.
Maybe it's just because we haven't seen it in a bit, but it's like, I don't know what they were doing. Something about someone needed, like, a pill or something. There were drugs or a virus or a something. Someone took something and then wrote a screenplay about someone taking something and bad things happen. I don't know.
And they just stuck the name Black Butler on it.
Without spoiling it, what is the original anime about? Like Black Butler? Like what?
Black Butler, it's about this young boy who enters a contract with a demon. Said demon becomes his butler, and it's sort of like about the butler kind of fighting other demons and taking care of business.
Hellsing.
For Ciel. And then when Ciel dies, Sebastian gets to keep his soul.
It's
That's
basically Hellsing.
Yeah.
But, you know, not as action-oriented.
I mean, Ciel wants to, like, avenge his family and everything. That's his main goal. That's why he wants the demon butler around.
That's kind of interesting. It's like, Black Butler is to Hellsing what Death Note is to Code
I
Geass.
guess a little.
A little bit. Similar elements, but one is clearly more of an action show.
I suppose.
I'm probably completely off base, and there's much better comparisons
Black
to be
Butler
made.
is very different from Hellsing overall. But I can see what you're saying a little bit.
I mean, they happen to be about aristocratic people who make contracts with supernatural beings to fight other supernatural beings, also while having bizarre sexual tension with them the whole time.
Yeah, that is.
And a household,
it's pretty bizarre.
Along with the households of comic relief subordinates.
But I just think when you watch them, they feel very different. I don't know.
Yeah, but on paper,
they're very similar.
It almost could have been like the same person wrote them, and then two completely different people directed them.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. It was just also, like, Black Butler kind of shot itself in the foot with season 2, so that's
something that Code Geass did not do.
That's fair.
Death Note definitely did.
Ugh.
You know, I think that's why I usually prefer Lelouch over Light. As good as Light was,
made a lot of dumb decisions.
Yeah, I think I will give him this. I think Light's highs are a little bit higher than some of Lelouch's individual highs for his peak moments, but his lows are so low. That
so
ending
bad.
just, the bottom dropped out.
Yeah.
Completely.
But, like, well, I shouldn't say it. I don't know if that's... Never mind.
You can tell me later.
Okay.
I'll know what's up. I think I know what. I think I kind of know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Doesn't matter. I don't want to spoil too much.
Yeah. Anyone have anything else to say about this? I don't know how much more I can say without going into spoiler stuff. And I want
Not
people to watch
really.
this. Okay. Envy, I think you had something to tell us.
Yes, an article came out last week. Well, they basically translated the Magia Record website, and it gave us a bunch of information on Magia Record Season 2. Magia
Okay.
Record Season 2 is officially called Magia Record Eve of Awakening and will premiere on July 31st. But that's not all.
Okay, we got a month.
No, that's not all.
What's up?
There will be
Okay.
a third and final season, Magia Record Dawn of Light Dreams, that comes out at the end of 2021.
Oh,
Wow.
Well, that's interesting.
That's a lot.
all so close together.
Basically, it'll be two 12 cores back to back. It'll be two
Hey, I'm
12
good with
episodes
that.
back to back.
That's plenty of stuff for us to do.
Cool.
So, end of that month. So, where will we be at that point? Next week, we're starting the number 3s. So, we're probably going to go through a couple of those. Yeah, we'll probably be in our late 3s or early 2s by the time we start talking about Magia Record and that. So, that'll be interesting. Speaking of 3s, I think we decided, who did we decide was going to be the first 3 up? I think it was Chippy. It was yours, right?
Yep, that was mine.
Yeah, tell them what it is.
It's gonna be Gekon Shoujo Nozaki-kun, or Monthly Girls Nozaki, as it's called in English. You can find it on Netflix and Crunchyroll. Yeah.
Why'd we pick it? It was not random. We've already seen it, so we can all talk about it extensively.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, be ready for spoil. It's, you know what? It's an episodic comedy series. I don't know that spoilers are a big deal for that.
No, honestly, like, it's just kind of a bunch of teenagers just, like, doing shenanigans, and it's great.
Yeah.
And Fireworks
Yeah.
pisses me off because of it.
Well, hey now, we'll get there. You can rant all you want next week. So yeah, come join us next week for Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun and the other stuff that we're doing. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, check out some of our previous episodes, our daily gaming videos, or our parody series Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!